Thank you for joining me once again on this channel. Kindly do well to like, subscribe, and follow me on this channel. I remain your propertiser, Ayedun Toluwalashe. Today, I'm going to be talking about mistakes that many landlords make, and some of these mistakes are the reasons behind why many landlords are behind bars. Like they says in the court of law, ignorance is not an excuse. So grab a seat and sit down as we learn some of the mistakes that many landlords make. The first on my list is the mindset that rental properties are for capital investments. This mindset is a wrong mindset. As much as rental properties are built for investment purposes, they are not capital investments. They are what I called cash flow investment. Oftentimes, many landlords believe that they should be able to get all their expenses immediately they finish the completion of their rental property. This is usually not the case of any property that is going for rental purpose, either for residential or for commercial reasons. Rental properties is basically for cash flow, meaning that you have something coming into for you year in, year out, or possibly every month, or possibly periodically, based on your agreement with your proposed tenant. The second mistake landlord make is the mistake of overpricing or underpricing of their rental property. Overpricing due to the costs accrued from the construction of that property, and so often because of the mindset that rental properties are for capital investments, they oftentimes want to give rents that are outrageous. It me to say that landlords in itself does not really determine the rent of his apartment. There are certain factors that determines the rent of your property. First is the location where the property is lying. Second is are the facilities or the features in the apartment. Third is the trends of the apartment, the trend of the location or the building itself. It could also be the tax around that environment and some other reasons that determines the rent of the property. You are not to just wake up one day and say that the rent of my house is 500,000. How did you come about the 500,000? It's not just the costs of construction. There are some other factors that come into place and that decides the rent of your property. Some other landlords come to the terms of underpricing their property, and that's because they don't know the current rate of their property. This is why I advise that many landlords should always involve a real estate agent when it gets to the stage of deciding the price of your property. The third mistake that many landlords makes is poor due diligence. Most landlords are eager to give up their apartments to prospective tenants, but are not painstaking enough to do a background check on the tenants they are giving their accommodation to. Some are internet fraudsters, some are criminals and the likes like that, and so you need to be sure of the tenants you are giving your apartment to. Just of recent, the Nigerian judiciary passed a law of sentencing the landlord that gives houses to internet fraudsters, I think 5 years imprisonment. And so you need to do a background check and be sure of the tenants you are giving your apartment to. Beyond the capacity of the tenant to be able to pay your rent, you also need to be sure of their credentials and be sure of their person. Number 4 on my list of the mistakes that many landlords make is that many landlords see their rental property as an asset. Can I say to us that rental properties are a business in itself and should be treated as a business? And what does this mean? Beyond the fact that it is an asset, once it becomes a rental property, it becomes a business, and to be treated as such. Proper documentation should come into place unto knowing your incomes and your expenses, because you would have expenses running in, year out, every time, periodically, expenses coming in vis-a-vis your maintenance, vis-a-vis your property tax, and some other costs that will come out of your rental property. So you need to have an account separate from your personal account, and this account will help you to be able to monitor if your business is going well as regards your rental property. So you should treat your rental property as a business and not just as an asset. Once you treat it as a business, it will help you to be able to have a proper control of your business. And that's the mistake that many landlords make. They think that their rental property is just an asset. And so oftentimes when tenants calls them to tell them that, see, there is a leakage in this particular area, or there is a need for maintenance in that property, they lack funds because they've exhausted all the funds they have, treating the property as an asset. And so they take it, and then they take the whatever funds that come out of it and spend it. Rental property is beyond an asset. It's a business and should be treated as a business. Else you are going to make several mistakes that many landlords make. Number 5 on my list of the mistakes that landlord makes is that most landlords prepare tenancy agreements by themselves. Some even do not prepare tenancy agreement. They collect tenancy agreement fee from the tenants, prepare the tenancy agreement. This mistake is a critical mistake that has sentenced many landlords into unplanned jail. You need to enter a tenancy agreement with all your tenants, because the agreement is what binds the relationship between the tenant and the landlord. Not the job of the landlord to prepare the tenancy agreement. It is also not the job of the landlord to collect tenancy agreement. Tenancy agreement is within the jurisdiction of the legal practitioner, not even the estate agents. I hope this saves a landlord. And lastly, as a landlord, do not mix emotion with business. Like I said, treat your rental property as a business, not just as an asset. Some days ago, I was talking with a landlord who happens to be a pastor, and then the man was just sharing with me, and he said that one of his tenants came to meet with him and said, Pastor sir, can you agree with me to provide the school fees of my children as the school is about to resume? That period is a period of time when the rent is also supposed to be due. In other words, the tenant is already playing on the emotion of the landlord, saying, your pastor, we are agreeing together that we should pay the school fees, so you should understand that we also have to pray together and agree for rent. Don't mix emotion with your business. Treat your rental property asset as a business, and every business succeeds when every parties play their parts. So let me leave us with these few tips, and I'm sure that you have benefited from these tips. I remain your property czar. See you again next time.